That's what we gon' do. Yeah, girls gon' bounce, the gangsters gon' move. My niggas, we gon' stomp. That's what we gon' do. The players gon' win, the haters gon'
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Guess what? The Three Wise Pat Pros are. What's that?
We don't own the rights to any of that music.
Oh, yes. No, we do not own the rights. So you feeling our vibe? You feeling our vibe? We stomping the yard. What?
Yeah. That's right.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Kroom, Dr. Tanera, and Miss Vet Tech Tony. And today we are stomping the yard. Stomp the yard. Boom. Yes. So, yes, we know it was a movie, but we're bringing a whole new vibe to Stomp the Yard because we're talking about our pets, right? So I did miss a little bit of the introduction. Yes, you know who we are, but let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Vet Tech Tony. I work with Dr. Kroom Mobile Vet Service, and I also have my own entrepreneurials, pet care, pet sitting, dog walking, making them dollars any way that I can because I just love helping pets. And hey, and I want to work for myself in my own time clock with Dr. Kroom's time clock. But with that being said, we have, I didn't even think about our previous conversation earlier today. But hey, inside joke, it's all about the money all the way, all the time. But our friendship is above that. Yes. So then we have Dr. Tanera, who is our holistic veterinarian here on the Three Wise Pet Pros, and who is super amazing. Does chiropractic services and Chinese herbs within her mobile vet service. And together we are DCMVS, Dr. Kroom Mobile Vet Service. So reach out to us if you have any questions, or actually go to drkroom.com and you can schedule an appointment. If you're a friend of mine, please say that I referred you, and or just say that Tony sent you. That's all right. Well, with that being said, like I said, we're talking about Stomp the Yard. Tanera, I get to talking and I won't stop. So I'm going to let you get in there a little bit.
I mean, what does that really even mean, Stomp the Yard? Like, what does that mean? It means, we're talking about pets. We are pet professionals, and as you know, our whole goal is to come and educate pet parents as well as learn from them. And so with Stomp the Yard, this topic has to do with everything yard related. That's right. What kind of backyard do you have? Front yard, side yard, no yard, rooftop yard? I don't know. Maybe you live in NYC and your yard is on top of the roof, right?
Hey,
the roof.
Things. The roof is on fire. Okay.
So yeah, like the yard is so important into what kind of pet you have and what they need. Right. So one of the things, some of the different aspects are like what kind of terrain or turf is out there, safety aspects, busy street, anything that's going to affect your pet's health and well-being based on the yard. Pests, right? A lot of people are doing pest control right now, mosquitoes, all that stuff. We're going to get into all of that today. If you have questions about anything yard related or pet related in general, please feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat. I see a comment here. Hey, Katie.
Hello. Hey, Crazier Homes.
Crazy. You got to say it like that.
I do. I just feel like I need to say it like that.
Great to see you guys. And let's see, yards. Well, we just got to see a beautiful yard. Speaking of Katie, recently within the family, within the Otterhound family, right, Katie? We got to see the cutest Otterhound.
Oh my goodness! 13 of them, not just the
right, 13. Not just like 4 or 5. 13 Otterhound. And everyone I've been telling, it's like, oh, we went to do, blood work on 13 Otterhounds. They're like, what's that? I've never heard of that breed before. And that's exactly what Katie is doing. Katie and all her crew getting the breed together, making sure that it's propagated ethically, that ethical breeding. Great to see you, Katie. And then we've got Robert Crazy Air Holmes, who's on the reptile side of the house. We know there's some different type of terrain that's really, really important for them. So let's get into it. First, well, we start with the one most people probably know the most about, grassy yards. Now, didn't you say you had some grass over there that Kiori gets into?
Like, you made me forget my own baby name. Kaori. Ooh, she's on the other side of the fence. She'll come in here and jump on me. Yes, Kaori. Yes. So grass, it's better than mud.
That.
So, but then there's different kinds of grasses that, you want to be aware of. So like, depending on the coat of your dog's hair, like if the seeds of the grass, they get caught up in the coat. So, then, we're talking about the yard, but you got to think about the grooming aspects and the health aspects of your pet as well. So like, do they like to, there's so many different kind of grasses. So, Kaori just likes to like sniff like up the wooza, like, I know something just came through here, I'm gonna find it.
Yep. And that can be so strange too, because when they sniff a lot outside, they can get shoots up their nose that can get lodged in there. And then so sometimes they'll start like lacrimation, tears, snot, all that stuff when something gets caught up in a sinus.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be like the worst thing ever. You think, oh my God, my dog has like something major. You go in, do a scope or something, you find a little pollen piece or something, that's stuck in there. So that grass, even though you might think it's the best thing ever, it's might not be. Because that's
right.
A lot of the allergies come into it. I'm not sure if you just mentioned that.
No, but Mr. Holmes did in regards to spores, because there's different, when you say spores, like funguses that harbor underneath in the grasses, depending on like if it's a grassy area and it's moist and it doesn't get sun, that like I'm pretty sure that a lot of you, if you haven't, you're probably going to notice it now that I said it, is that you will even see mold or different funguses, like fuzzy stuff down on the ground. Depending on the location. So, when you think about, why is my dog sneezing? Why is his eyes running? Could be some of the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that we do to alleviate that with Tony and I being a holistic service is, when your dog comes back inside, we both have access to a really, really high quality dry shampoo. It's a waterless shampoo. You can use this for when your dog comes back inside. And you're not trying to give them a full bath every time, right?
Right.
So the waterless shampoo is really, really great. You can go to either of our pages and find that. You would be supporting a small business as well and supporting your pet. Nobody wants a soggy dog. And so that waterless shampoo is really good. Baking soda, lavender, all the yummy stuff. So yeah, spores. Oh my God, spores are horrible. You're right, Mr. Crazy Air, because spores are the part of the plant that are usually very hardy. They're hard to kill. Most spores you can't even like kill them with hot water and freezing. A lot of times they just like go into their little spore shell, like, okay, we'll wait till 35 years later, and here we are, like still spreading whatever it was. Like, spores are hardy, so they are really, really tough. So yeah, grassy yards. Anything else? Let's see, with grass.
A positive side to grass is it's cooling, and like they can just lay in it. You can lay in the grass with them, unless you have allergies, and then you want to make sure you've taken your Zyrtec.
Right.
But that would be, it's cleaner than some surfaces. So that's a couple of positives, pros.
That's definitely positive. I know one thing, after this winter season was over and I went out there and I was like, oh, this is where Miles been going all winter, huh? In the grass. Like, oh, there's a spot. Oh, there's another spot. Oh, it's like a whole day job just to clean out that grass, So it is a pro. you can have the poo be out there. You don't really see it. And I did get my grass cut the other day, and I think they just went right all over, like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like, woo! Now it's everywhere. So, hey, Imani.
Hello, Imani.
Imani, how you doing, little one? So, another type of yard we got is a sandy yard. Ooh. Can you imagine having a huge sulcata tortoise in your yard, and you have a big just this is sand and place for him to dig and some plant life and all that? Could you imagine having a big huge tortoise like that in your backyard? Well, if so, you'd probably have a sandy yard or some sand mixed into it, because a lot of times reptiles need that sand mixed with some dirt too a lot of the time, but sand is really good for reptiles, I think. We got a reptile guy on the line. If you have any suggestions, you can feel free to put that in the chat there, Mr. Robert. What do you know about sandy yards, Miss Tony?
So when you were saying sandy yard, like I had a whole different thought process. First, I went to like, ooh, a sandy yard and sand coming to the house. Then I was like, ooh, beaches and palm trees. I was like, yes, I want a sandy yard.
Right?
That's a lot of tortoise.
Oh yeah, so kind of tortoise is a lot of tortoise. They are huge. They're the huge ones. The one I have right now is a Russian tortoise. They only get to be this big. But the sulcata tortoise, oh my God, you practically would have to have a whole backyard. But they really can hibernate or brumate, whatever you want to call it, during winter, and so they won't need all that space. They'll just be in one spot. But you could create a nice life for them, I think, on some sand.
So question. Excuse me. So question in regards to, because I know there's a tortoise that can actually survive the cold, like it'll go dormant. I just want to say that because I keep forgetting to ask. I was wanting to I know a neighbor not too far from me that had one in their yard, and it came with the house when they bought it.
Man, you said you need a two garage. You said you need a 2-car garage
of space. Oh, that's a big.
That's
for a 40.
Yeah, that's a very specific amount there, buddy.
Yeah.
2-car garage. My car. So okay, well so sandy yards. Now you were saying something earlier, Tony, about sand, I think. Issues with sand.
Fleas.
Ew. What is the deal with that?
So I won't say because I mean any kind of surface can have fleas, but I just know like in certain sands, like different bugs hibernate in those or live in them, like sand mites or something, and just like the biting factor and like just just doesn't seem as clean as like if you had grass with fleas in it, you throw some diatomaceous earth down. Sand seems like a more harder process to maintain that atmosphere. So I'm thinking like if I had a tortoise and I needed 2 garage spaces full of this surface, like that's a lot of work. So, but if that's what you want, I'm not negativing that, but I also have a lot of pets already. So a tortoise and 2-car garage space with sand is.
I mean, I feel like oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was just thinking that I don't think there would be that much to do. Like you pretty much, put them out there and give them some vegetation and water source, and they do what they do, walk around and sleep a lot.
Okay, yeah. So you don't just need sand. Okay.
We know. Dirt too. Well, no, wait, I know. But the audience may not. What else do we need other than sand, Mr. Robert? But you're right though, because I went somewhere, Tony, and when we got back, it was something like sand fleas, and I had gotten bitten on my ankles, and they were saying like, "Oh, sand fleas." I was like, "Oh my God!" It was like different kind of itchy, that I felt around my ankles, right around my ankles there. And that was not fun, not fun at all. Any other animals that if we had a sandy yard, it would be beneficial for? Like a iguana, like a big old like lizard of some sort. Like a
Don't have cats around. I know that much.
things for it to climb over. Oh,
Things to have for.
and
Also, that would be like a sandy yard. So we're talking about reptile, tortoise specific for them to like exercise. So that's a good thought in regards to any of the yard spaces that we're talking about, depending on what kind of pet it is. But if you have a tortoise, an environment that you have elevation so that it can exercise its normal muscles that it needs to, because it's not just going to be walking on sand.
right.
Kind of like the same thing for Izza and Lucy, that they have those different terrains of little hills and things that they can hide and go up under and over.
Yes. Yes, like environmental enrichment in a way.
Yes.
Um, so exactly, that is super important. Super, super important. Thank you for reminding us of that. And then we've got one more type of yard, which would be the plant filled yard. I know Tony probably would love to have just a full yard, just full of plants and foliage and everything else.
Oh wow, I would. I so
He can
would.
have-
I admire all the yards that people are working on right now. I'm like, oh, look at the landscape, and not all of them are like like really hard. Then other ones you'll look at them and they'll be like, they had to do a lot of thought process into them yards because like the elevation of different flowering, the time flowers bloom, and then other ones are just green at certain times of the year. But yes, I would definitely love that. But another big thing with plant field yards are if you have dogs, your pets specifically. Sometimes our pets aren't as smart as we think they are, that we don't want to have plants that are not good for them.
Right.
Whereas some wild animals, they're more adamant, I think, about like, nope, I shouldn't eat that. But
Yeah.
domesticated,
So you're saying our soft domesticated animals may not have as much chutzpah, as much street knowledge as the wild animals.
exactly. They'd be like, oh, she planted some new flowers. Let's go eat and chew on those. It'd be like, no, those will give you diarrhea, cause you nauseation, and see, now look. But
Right.
you just planted them. I thought you put these out here for me.
Right. So colorful. Yeah, okay. Yes, yes. So maybe not that. Yeah, definitely different plants can be toxic. We know that. And we want to avoid that. So knowing what kind of plants are toxic to the types of pet that you have is going to be crucial. Okay.
Yeah.
Plants, yes, yes, yes. I love them. I mean, I've got buca plants even right here. Like, ooh, look at this! Look at this!
A ZZ and a lily.
ZZ and a lily. We got an aloe up there. Yep. So, I love plants. So anyway, we've got one more segment, which has to do with this huge yard or a relatively smaller yard with less work to do. What do we think? And how do pets play a role in that? Chihuahua, Great Dane.
That kind of like the answer, huge yard, small yard. But one thing I can think of in any of those yards is that you want to think about where your yard is located. Like, are you in the city? Are you in the rural areas, suburbs, places with curbs and no curbs? Because that means usually if you have curbs, there's probably most likely a sidewalk. Well, not in all cases. And I just thought about a street that doesn't. Different things to pay attention to that some may not take in a factor. So a big dog, you definitely need to be taken for a walk. You shouldn't just be like, oh, he goes out in the yard and play all the time. No, that's not the same thing as exercising your dog, but that's a whole nother topic. So we're just talking about yard space. So when you let your dog out in the yard, you want to make sure that it isn't an fenced area. as one pointer that I would bring up, having in it,
Definitely.
whether it's small or big.
Indeed. I mean, in the larger yard, you know, I was talking about getting some land. I definitely am looking forward to when I get a larger amount of land, because I have the type of dog that is very active, even though she is small. She's a working dog. She is the happiest when she is out running. I'm telling you, she likes to run till she hurts herself, like comes up limping, like, okay, I'm good now. I'm go inside. Like, but until then, she is out there at it. So she needs, so it's not always a direct comparison of large dog versus small. I mean, yes, large, you would need more space, but like Tony said, you don't just have, even with a large yard, because if they're like the soft domesticated ones, like mine, they may be so house doggy that they just, as soon as you put them outside, they're like, go pee and then come right back to the door like my dog does. I'm like, why don't you go out and play? She's like, play with what? Like, here's your toy, I'm like, she's not.
When they look back at you, they'd be like, aren't you coming outside with me?
All right, fine, I'll just sit over here. So again, no exercise. So you got to really, bite the bullet and get out there with them.
Yes.
Yeah. And then a small yard, could be nice, because again, I don't know, maybe like if you think about it and flip it the other way, you say, if you have a small yard, then the opposite of a big yard, with a big yard, you kind of think, okay, well, I got all this space, we don't need to. But with a small yard, you're forced to get out there and walk them, because that yard is small. So I say small yards, 2 cheers for a small yard, because you still need to get out there and walk those dogs. Cats that are indoor, outdoor, sometimes they just get the run of the place. Large yard, small yard, really doesn't matter. If you have whatever size yard, they can get out of it. If they're an outdoor cat, they can climb trees. They got all the weaponry and all that stuff. Hopefully, if they're an outdoor cat, they have all their weaponry. But that's a whole nother story as well. That's a whole nother topic. So let's see. The life around the yard is more important than the yard itself. I like that because one of the things that we've been doing is, like, even just yesterday, I had moved a big piece of furniture around in my yard, and underneath was dirt and sediment, and there were isopods and worms. You know how it is when you move stuff and there's stuff. And so it's the life that's in the soil, that's in the yard. It's kind of like considered a bioactive environment. That's what you really want to shoot for, as close to possible as you can to their natural habitat, with all of the stuff in the soil and the bugs and stuff. The ones that we might think are ew. But for instance, the isopods, if you have them in the environment where you keep your tortoise or other animals that poo, which is all of them, they will go ahead and they will scavenge, and they thrive on that poo, therefore keeping your environment clean. What's that you got over there, Tony Tone? Isopods? Ooh, look at that. Is that
super worms?
Super worm. You gotta be careful.
Some of these are so strong.
Yeah.
Like they be fighting you to not get picked up. And I can't believe.
I'm careful with them little mouth. I don't know.
Yeah,
they'll get you, or they'll get your gecko. Oh, do they have food in there?
Yeah, there's some potatoes in here. I had put look
at you.
That's a potato.
Yes. They bite sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they'll be reaching around, like whipping around, and they'll latch on the side of your gecko or something, like, oh, and like, ah. Yeah.
They over there, like, you can literally hear them. And you see the container is not that big, and they over there moving and almost moving and grooving. But yeah, I can't believe I can
Stomp the Yard.
Yeah. So, and Izza's little aquarium yard, sometimes, because they don't stay inside of the little dish like the other, the mealworms and the waxworms, they'll stay inside our feeder dish. These will come out But I set them up for, I set them up for failure. But I'd be like, I drop them down, and she'd be like, and then she just like gets them. Okay, that's the whole. We have to talk about
It's so
how
much
we are.
fun. I know. I know.
I was like,
Well,
this is so appealing.
I know that's right. Well, we're talking about stomping the yard today. Some of you may have been a little confused, like, what in the world are they talking about as far as pets? These are pet professionals. What could they be talking about? And we just went over the importance of the different kinds of yards, the importance of doing that research beforehand so that you know what you're getting yourself into, what your pets can really thrive off of in that yard, and also setting it up so that it can be as natural of a habitat as possible. Whether it's grass, sand, full of plants, big, small, whatever the case may be, you want to stomp that yard, get out there, see what it's all about, and make that decision so that you can give your pet a great life. So, Tony,
Yeah.
you want to take us out, ma'am?
Yes, yes, yes. So before I start to play this, I want to say we do not own the rights to this music, but we're gonna just we're gonna stomp on out this yard and then come back to you next week. We would love, love, love if you would share some thoughts and topics that you would like to hear us talk about, because we enjoy talking about what we want to talk about, but we also want to hear what y'all have to talk about. And yes, so 3 Wise Pet Pros signing out. We do not. All right, everybody have a great evening. Dr. Tanera, Vet Tony. See y'all next week.
See you next week.
We do not own the rights to this music, so don't cut us off.
Right. Stingy.
All right, thank you.